Okay guys, let's catch up. Oh my god, I hope you enjoyed my little, it's kind of like my version of a morning routine. I'm not much of a morning routine person, but that's like my slow morning routine if I have the time. They're my knees, by the way. Can you see them? If I have the time, that is what I like to do. Just realized I forgot to take my shoes off and there's muck all over them. Oh, went for a lovely 5k walk with my little L, which is so enjoyable. I'm actually so grateful for living beside Malahide Castle, the park. Like, I think now that hopefully Evan and I will be moving this year, like I've realized, oh my god, having a park like that is just so nice. It's like so nice to be able to bring her on a big walk and in lovely surroundings and stuff like that. So I'm just very grateful for that this morning. My bit of gratitude for the morning, guys. So where the hell have I been, guys? I actually had another vlog for you guys and you're gonna kill me. You're actually gonna kill me. My battery's about to die. Okay, vlog take 2. Something about this camera, like it's a good camera, but it's just not as stunningly gorgeous as my other camera, which is the G7X, which technically is a shitter camera. Yeah, I think because it's made for vloggers, it has like a beauty filter in it, I'm convinced, because like on the viewfinder here, not looking as stunning, but you know what, it's okay. Anyway, yeah, you're gonna kill me. So if you listen to my podcast, you would have seen that I had Tara on the podcast, which was amazing. Go listen to that episode if you haven't. A lot of people are giving me lots of great feedback on it. I love having guests on when I can. Like, I do like to have all guests on the podcast. It's kind of turned into more like a solo pod, which I actually love, but I do like having shows like that. Anyway, I'm digressing. I vlogged our night out because we went for dinner. Oh, it was so nice. I did a whole like get unready with me, and I edited the video and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this up this weekend. And then I formatted the SD card that it was on, and I didn't realize I was working off the SD card, not my computer, so I deleted all the footage. Anyway, we're gonna catch up. I got some questions on Instagram from you all, and I think that's a fun way to catch up because I get to know what you want to know about what's going on in my life. And let me get my phone. Love this because I'm obviously trying to be on a bit of a spending ban at the moment, so I'm going to live vicariously through this. Dream outlandish purchase. I think a lot of people probably don't know this about me, but I love a good car. So like my dream outlandish, like I would way prefer drop stupid money on a car than on a bag or on like, I mean, either a holiday or a car. That'd be where I'd be at. So my dream car would be like a Porsche. I would love a Porsche. They're obnoxiously large. They guzzle gas, but I love them. So yeah, I'd love a Porsche. And then another one would be, as I said, a holiday. Like, I'd love to do something like, I don't know, like I used to think I'd want to do Mauritius or the Maldives, but like, now that I look at the Maldives and I see people on there, I'm like, it's just like a big resort. So I don't think I'd like that. I think I'd like to go to like maybe Fiji or I love good tropical vibe, do you know what I mean? So I don't know, somewhere stunning but with a bit more culture, if you get what I mean. I would love to do Sri Lanka actually. I've heard that's amazing and amazing food. Or like an incredible trip to Japan and Korea. What are your main goals for 2023 work-wise? So I was going to do a video. That's like the theme of my life, on like goal setting, but then it kind of, I mean, it's like the 20-something of January now, so we're kind of crossed that bridge. I always do like personal goals and work goals. Like I like to separate them. I spoke about it on the pod a few weeks ago, because like I feel like so often, and like in our society now, we're only geared towards career development and like professional development and maybe like financial development. And there's nothing wrong with those things, of course. We all need money to live, and it's obviously a nice feeling to progress in your career. But I think it's also really important to set personal goals. And I don't even mean like, you know, go to the gym 6 times a week, or like, I mean, they're obviously good goals as well to have, but like more like self-development. And like I made sure to do them last year, you know, like nurturing my friendships more, on those little things. But anyway, my work goals for this year, I have, I'm working currently on doing a seasonal, public video based, season of Red Room content. So that's in the works now. So that's one of my big goals, is to like get that up and get that done. I'll hopefully do that twice. Another goal is to have another podcast, which is something I'm working on as well. And don't worry, nothing will ever be taken away from Red Room. Red Room is my one true love, and it's like my, you know, the stalwart of my work, my professional kind of basis. And then other things work wise, just kind of continuing to do what I do, to be honest, like, and kind of setting some more foundations in place for like longevity. They would be some big things for me for this year. This isn't a question, but I thought I'd touch on it anyway. Someone said, yay, not a question, I love your vlogs. So I think like I want to talk a little bit about the future of the YouTube channel. It feels like I'm breaking up with you guys, but I'm not, don't worry. So I get a lot of people message me, right, sometimes being like, oh my god, I love the vlogs, like, when's the vlog coming back, and I think I spoke about it briefly last month, but I think I now, like, I'll just explicitly say, because I think it's easier for people to understand, I'm not going to be doing weekly vlogs or even committing to regular vlogs, because I don't really have that much to vlog with the way my work is going at the moment. B, like, that is kind of where I'm focusing my energy to, because I have a lot to do in the first half of this year, and as much as it sounds like it could be interesting to vlog that process, it actually just really isn't, because it's mostly me just researching on a computer. I love vlogging, and it's something I started like 2021, so I've only been doing it like a year and a half, and I have such respect for people who do it long term. But my, like, the 80 to 90% of my content is podcasting, and that is my love in the content world. So I need to give that 80 to 90% of my attention. And with vlogging, again, you know, even though it seems like it's just like turning on the camera, you kind of have to plan out the days that you're going to vlog and to make a cohesive story. And just with terms of like what I get back from vlogging, even though I love it, like I get such a rush like publishing a video, and I even look back at some of my videos, almost like my travel ones, like they're so fun. It's like little video diaries, and I do love them. But I'm going to just, vlogging is going to be a casual thing for me now. It's going to be vlog when I want to, put a video up when I want to, or when I get a chance. Even kind of carving out the time to do this little sit down video will mean that I'll have to work 6 days this week, because I will be editing this probably tomorrow night, which is Saturday night, you know. So it just ends up eating into aspects of my week that, like, I don't want to burn out. And when I'm working, like this month anyway, I've worked 6-day weeks every week this week, and this was my week that I kind of didn't have to do that, but I'm making this video because I want to make the video. Do you know what I mean? So the vlogs will just happen when they happen. So I'm not leaving YouTube. There is going to be Red Room content on this YouTube channel this year. Of course, you don't have to watch that. It's not replacing vlogging, but my kind of focus at the moment is on my podcast and on other little projects that I'm working on. Advice on not liking a friend who hasn't done anything wrong. You're just different. Yeah, so like as you get into your, I mean, like, it happens at any time, but I think you kind of more so notice it maybe when you leave college or get into your mid to later 20s, but it can literally happen to you all the time, like your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, all the time, you know. You just outgrow people. I'm a big believer in that, like, phrase. I'm not going to be able to quote it exactly right, but like, what is it? Some people are meant to be in your life for like a season rather than, I don't know, an eternity. I don't know what the like me again, I'm terrible at quoting sayings, but some people just aren't meant to be in your life forever, and that's okay. Or you're not meant to be super close. Like, I even like have met up with people over the past year or two who like we used to be joined at the hip, used to be so obsessed with each other, and like we still have such a great friendship, but we're just our friendship isn't the same, and that doesn't mean it's bad. Like it doesn't mean that like, oh, it's not the same. I just mean like the way we like interact, not even interact, because it's like the friendship is in like when we're together, like we have the same crack, we have the same jokes, blah blah blah, but like we just, our lives are different basically, and I know what you mean, as in like you're kind of over this person. My advice would be like, I see a lot of advice over this online, you know, when people do like kind of agony aunt kind of stuff, and some people go like, you know, you can just leave them or whatever, but it's like, I think there's also a level of civility, and like if you're in a group of friends and like it's going to make your friends' lives a living hell, and like just a really awkward social situation if you like have a breakup with someone, like there's nothing more awkward than actually a friendship breakup is in saying to someone like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I don't know if you could ever say that and then be civil. So I would just maybe like try and only see them in group situations, try and not be rude or whatever else, but like just, you know, don't go out of your way to be one-on-one with them. It's awkward and it's hard, but like most people will get the picture. And if it is more of a one-on-one friendship, like, I don't know, gradually distance yourself a bit. I don't know, like I don't know if there's any real like mature way of doing it, as in like, you know, like I just don't know ever how well, like I've had these situations where it's like they've done nothing wrong to me, we haven't had a falling out. I just don't know how well I would take it if someone sat me down, and maybe this is me being sensitive, but like if someone legitimately sat me down and was like, I'm just kind of over your ass. I'd prefer if someone was just a little bit distant from me, and like I'm sure people have distanced themselves from me over the years and I haven't noticed, and we're still grand, you know. So I would just try and create a bit of distance, and then, you know, only see them in group situations, and try and not like speak about it too much in your friendship group if you do share friends, because that can make it kind of awkward for your friends, obviously. How is your mental health? January is shite, but you're killing it as always with the content. Well, thank you, first of all. My mental health at the moment is actually pretty good. I'm not drinking at the moment, which I'm happy about. I'm kind of like trying to like transition my relationship with alcohol. I obviously had loads of fun at Christmas and don't regret it. I had loads of fun, but I'm trying to with a lot of my life, it sounds really weird, but I'm trying to like make everything kind of seasonal, because I always think like it's such a funny thing that we put a pressure on ourselves to do one thing all of the time. Like I either drink all of the time or I don't drink at all. And Evan said something to me a while ago, like when we were talking about dry January, he was like, oh, like someone I knew, like his dad would like not drink for the first half of the year and then drink for the second half of the year. And I was like, that's such an interesting approach, because like overall it's good for you because you're not drinking for one half of the year. For the second half of the year, you're like, oh, well, if I want to drink, I can have it then, you know? So I'm trying to transition out of, you know, not considering myself a drinker, and I don't see anything wrong with drinking. It's just for me personally. I always feel so nice when I'm not drinking, and it is a thing when you get older, like as a, what's the word? Stereotypical as it sounds, like, you know, people are like, oh, the hangovers when you're older. It really is not good, and it's more so not like a hangover, but like it's just like an ongoing feeling of lethargy where like you just feel I only notice it when I'm not drinking, as in like I'll be sleeping in way later, my sleep won't be as good, I won't really want to be in the gym that much, I kind of eat whatever, like I'm just not taking care of myself as well as I do when I don't drink. So that's something that's kind of helping my mental health. But other than that, like I'm kind of fine. Like, I mean, I don't really get the January blues too much, if I'm honest. I find I get it, I don't know, seasonal depression doesn't affect me too much. I used to think it did, but I don't actually. I think it's harder when, I will say, like when I worked in an office, that's way harder, because you're getting up when it's dark and you're leaving when it's dark. Because I work from home and I work for myself, I don't have those kind of rigorous timelines on myself as much, so I can go out and get the sun when the sun is out, which is genuinely such a blessing and a privilege for sure. So I am getting a bit of face dysmorphia though. I'm kind of hyper fixating on my face lately, and I don't know whether it's because I'm getting a bit older or I don't know what it is. Sometimes I just like hyper fixate, and at the moment it's on my nose, and I'm like kind of considering getting a nose job. I won't, don't worry, like I won't, but I'm kind of considering it, but I also won't get it. Do you know what I mean? Would love you to start a book series. I always loved your suggestions. So that was one of my goals, my personal goals, was to start reading for pleasure more. And I know it's ironic. I realized this last night. I was like, oh man, and this is just, it's part of the curse of creating content for a living. Everything can be content. So like on my mind I was like, I'm just gonna start reading just for me, you know, like not for work. And now I've like decided in my head I'm gonna make it a series on Instagram, but I'm not putting pressure on myself to do it. So I'm trying to, and it actually is making me read loads, because I'm like, okay, I need to do another little book review. So I did one on my friend's book. My friend Taya released her second novel last year called A Cigarette Lit Backwards. You can go watch my reel, or I post it on TikTok as well, a little review of it. It's an amazing coming of age book, and I'm currently reading Jonathan Franzen Crossroads, and I'll be finished that I think maybe this weekend, and I'll post another reel, and I'm going to do that as a series, because I always love when people talk about books on their YouTube or their reels, because like that's how I get my book recommendations. And I have a list, I have like a reading list on my phone here of like books that I've read. There's only 2 so far. And then my reading list of books I want to get. But I have a load of books. A big goal of mine is read the books I have, because I have loads of books, and I have some books on my Kindle that I haven't read yet. So that's first on my list before I start going ham on the books. But I will start a book series. Any fashion inspo for the new year? Different styles you want to explore? Not really, no. Like, I mean, to be honest, Monday to Friday I'm wearing this kind of shit. I'm wearing like yoga fucking pants and comfy stuff. Ow, my arms. I feel like this sounds very pretentious, but I want to like lean into more of my alternative taste a little bit more. I feel like sometimes, and it's a weird one when you get a bit older. Like, and I don't think there's rules around like how you should dress when you're older. Like, who gives a fuck, you know? Like, there's literally no rules. But like when you start transitioning and being transitioning into an older person, I mean, and like in your 30s and stuff like that. Not that that's old, but you know, it's different to your 20s. It's very easy to start dressing, and like if you have used to dress maybe a little bit more alternatively, like kind of like neglecting that side of yourself, because it can be hard to like dress that way when you're a bit older. So I'm trying to bring that back in and wear some of my older pieces, because like I noticed that I kind of just let that side of myself slip last year a little bit, not massively, but I'm trying to bring that back in, because that is a very big part. And then someone said my style muse lately. I think like everyone, like a lot of people love. Now this is funny, because I'll be like, everyone loves her, and then like I see people like fucking dying over this girl Alex Earl on TikTok, and I'm like, guys, she is the most, no offense to her, I'm sure she's a nice girl, but like she is the least muse-worthy muse I've ever seen. Like, at least with Matilda Djurf, who's just some random blonde Swedish girl who is stunning. She has a vibe. Like, her vibe is Scandi, and it's very her own vibe, but she has a vibe and she has a style. Alex Earl is like someone who would bully, excuse me, she's like someone who would bully me in school. My muse is Gabriette. I love her. And yeah, she's cool as shit. So she'd be my style muse. Thoughts on Lana's newest song? Guys, I don't want to get into it. I don't like it. And I historically don't like most of Lana's new music when she releases it, and then I come around to love it, but I haven't gone back to listen to it. However, I do have her new record on pre-order, so I will be getting the record. Overcoming friendship breakups over fellas, any advice? Oh, look, there's some things that will come between you and your friends, and unfortunately relationships will be one of them. Like, you know, we can live in a fantasy world and say like, girls, don't let that get between you guys, but it will, and it can. It doesn't always, but it is something, a legitimate reason why you can fall out with friends. And it's because like, it's for loads of reasons, and it's not, this isn't even like shade on anyone, but like everyone has had a boyfriend. Like sometimes like you can meet a boyfriend and it's not that like they change you in a negative way. It's not like you're like, oh my god, like just being your like some boyfriend bitch. But it's like sometimes someone new coming into your life can bring a new perspective to you, and it can make you kind of like question your friends. And when I met Evan, that was the first time I ever kind of like, there were certain things that were happening in my life at the time, and I would see certain ways that like some of his really close friends would have his back, and I noticed that some of my friends at the time were not having my back in that way. And it's not that Evan himself as a person like changed me at all, but it kind of gave me a new perspective of like, oh, you know, because sometimes when you're friends with people for like a really long time, you become desensitized to like the relationship itself possibly being like toxic, or the relationship itself like just not being healthy for either of you. And then it can sometimes take meeting someone new to give you that new perspective. But if you and your friend are falling out over a boyfriend, like just know, like, look, it happens all the time. It happens to a million of the people. Sometimes you will become friends again. I don't think it's the biggest fucking deal in the world. Like, a lot of girls are like, no, like, don't take her back if she dumped you for a boyfriend. Like, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? I've had plenty of friends who distanced themselves when they got in a relationship, and then they broke up and look, we're friends again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, life's too short to hold grudges like that unless they really fucked you over, and it's up to you. It's a shit feeling because it feels like they're choosing a guy over you, but it's not always the case. Sometimes people can like not have had many relationships. Sometimes people are just getting a bit lost in the love. Like, it can happen. And look, you don't deserve someone who definitely you don't. No one deserves, and it is a shitty way to treat people if you like just get a boyfriend and like only want to see the boyfriend and like completely peace out in all your friendships. It's not good behavior. But if it's a once off, I think just kind of let them live. But if it's a consistent pattern, especially if it's a pattern where like, you know, you're just seeing the same shit with a different boyfriend, I know how that feels. It's very frustrating when you're just like, oh my god, here we go again. Maybe it's time to take some space, and it is just part of life, unfortunately. And it's a shit feeling, but you'll get over it. Just try and nurture the friendships you do have. If someone's coming in and out of your life, nurture the ones that are always there, because they're the people you should pay attention to. Did you ever feel completely alone or have zero social life during your late 20s? Yeah, so like this is something that definitely happens, I think, in your late 20s. Because like when you're in your earlier 20s and you're in college, like you've nothing to do but to hang out with each other. And it's so fun because like you're just going out and hanging out all the time. Like even in college, like I would go to college like to hang out. Like I could give a fuck about the lectures, like, but I'd just be sitting around smoking cigs with my friends, and that's so fun. And then, you know, your mid-20s, like maybe you're moving away, but you still have a little bit more time to do these things. But towards your later 20s, like your work might be getting a bit more intense. You might have a relationship. You might like be like not as into like going out 24/7 all the time, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I'm really lonely. And that happens. Or like it's also a time of your life where like you, like as we were talking about in the last question, like some of your friends might be becoming more distant to you. You might be, your life starts to change from 27 to 30, and not change in a bad way at all. But it does, like there's just certain shifts in your life that like they happen, and you have to kind of be like, oh, no one talks about this. Like this is so crazy. So I have felt like that, definitely, and it is a weird feeling. And even like now that I'm not drinking at the moment, you can become boring very quickly, and I use the term boring loosely, right? Okay, there's nothing, like you can of course do whatever you want to do and not have a fucking glass of wine, but like you very quickly fit into like a hibernation mode. But I'm trying to like during winter like take that as a plus, like as in like animals hibernate, so why shouldn't I hibernate? Like I'm gonna have such a busy summer, like I've got some fun stuff happening at the end of the year, like, you know, plenty of time for a glass of wine. But in terms of being in your late 20s, like I think that's normal. I think it's just a shift in your life. It's a transitional period, and you just have to find, you know, when I'm talking about the drinking thing, I just mean you just have to find new ways of enjoying yourself and having these social interactions that are maybe not so focused around like clubbing or like big things. Like maybe like take advantage. What I would say is like take advantage of what you do have. Like you probably have a little bit more what's the word, like disposable income. So maybe it's just like booking trips with your friends, booking a dinner with your friends, and if your friends don't maybe have as much money as you, or if you don't have as much money as your friends, like do little like walks in the park, or like meet up for brunch, or like at a local coffee shop, or like have little kind of routines. Like my mom, I always really admire this about my mum. She has like her group of friends that like she has worked, like she's retired now, but like that she worked with, and like they would always, it's actually so adorable, like it's the cutest thing, but like I don't even mean that in a patronizing way. I'm like, it is actually so admirable to do this. So like when they work together, they would all meet at 11 o'clock and go for like a lunch on their coffee break together. And because like my mom worked in the Dublin City Council, so like it's really, really big, and they'd always be moving around the place, but like they would always, you know, meet up at 11 and catch up. And now that they're all retired, they still meet up on a Friday and they go for coffee on a Friday in St. Anne's. And like those are the little things like that you have to make time for. But if you make those things a ritual or like a non-negotiable, like you'll soon find yourself like being like, oh, okay. Or even like little things, like if you're into exercising. I remember I joined a boxing gym when I was in my later 20s. I missed that place, and it was like a little community, like those little small gyms where it's like, instead of like a big gym where you don't really talk to anyone, like if it's small group training or anything like that, like you get to know people so much because you're interacting more, and like you feel like that sense of community. And I think that loneliness is more so, it's not lack of friends, but or lack of like opportunities. It can be a lack of community, and I think those are important things to bring into your life. So try and find new hobbies, maybe book clubs or something like that, but it is completely normal, and you will transition back into a new kind of phase of your life, but it doesn't mean all the fun is gone, of course. Holiday plans for 2023. I don't know about like summer holiday. I'm not too sure about that because we're probably gonna have a lot of financial expenditure this year. But we are going to Paris in March. I booked it for Evan's birthday. I'm so excited. You guys know I love Paris. And Evan has been once, but he was only there really briefly, so I'm excited for us to kind of explore it together. We've never done a city break together. We've been together like 4 years this year. And we've never done a city break, so I'm excited for that. Top 5 recipes you can make with stuff from the Asian supermarket. Maybe I can give you more. I think a better thing for me to tell you would be like top 5 ingredients to buy at the Asian market, because you can use them in anything. Okay, so I would say get gochujang, which is Korean chili paste. I use it in so much stuff. You can use it, I put it on eggs. You can actually use it on pasta sauces if you want to make like a spicy kind of red pasta sauce. You use it in pretty much all Korean food. You will use gochujang, so that is, and it's really cheap and it lasts ages. So it's fermented chili paste. Number 2, kimchi. Like kimchi is so good. It's so good for you, first of all, but also like you can have it with, again, eggs. You can have it with just like rice. You can fry it in fried rice. You can have it with like as a side. It's just so tasty and so delicious. And like if you ever have like a meat dish with rice, like it's so, like this little pickle on the side, if you like pickled things, definitely kimchi. Third, this is just like financially like it's way more economically friendly to get your soy sauce and to get fish sauce and sesame oil and rice wine vinegar or mirin. All of those things, like get them in the Asian market, guys, because they're so expensive in the likes of Super Value. And you can get like, I get like a big thing of a gluten-free soy sauce, and it's like €4. And I think it's the Kiko Man brand, so it's not like it's even like off brand, it's the main brand, but you just get it way better value. And also rice, like things like sushi rice, way better value there. As I think I showed you guys last time on my last haul, there's a video, if you haven't watched it, it's called How I Cure a Hangover, and I get so much stuff from the Asian market there. And actually in the last video I did a haul as well. It's like if I get a bag of sushi rice in Super Value, it's like the same price for like 300 grams as I get for a kilo in the Asian market. So stuff like that. Also sesame seeds, really good value there. And it's always worth, I love to just go to the snack section and just pick out random bits and try it. So they would be my like staples. They're the shit that I always get, especially kimchi. It's like I always get it in the Asian market. Ooh, any live events planned this year? So yeah, I want to do a live podcast this year. That's another goal, I forgot to say it. And I'm going to be organising it. So everyone on my Discord said they just want like a regular live podcast. So let me know in the comments below what you would like and if you would come. It's very, because like I used to do obviously live shows with It Gals, and we got to a point where we were like selling out Vicar Street, which is so crazy. It's almost a little bit intimidating to do it on my own now. Because it's like and it's my own inner like saboteur, as RuPaul would say, like telling me like, oh, you know, you're going to be compared. Like, I don't think anyone's comparing me. I compare myself. So it's a little bit intimidating, but look, we got to do it. Do you think the Dyson Airwrap is worth the money? And then one beside it is must have beauty faves for 2022. Is it worth the money? Look, I always say it. It's worth the money in the sense that if you have saved up the money for it and you think you want it, it works. And if you're lazy with your hair like I am, like my hair is in bits today, guys, it is really good. And I would buy one. Like my one is an old one and I am considering buying a new one. But don't go broke for a hairdryer. Do you know what I mean? I've heard the Shark rip-off one is really good and it's much cheaper. It's just, it is a really good tool for your hair. Like, undoubtedly it is. And my hair doesn't take to a curl very well. My hair doesn't style very, it's kind of like just whatever, very straight naturally, and it still works on my hair. So it's worth it if it's something you want and you can afford to save up for it, but like, you know, don't go broke for it. And must have beauty faves, I would consider the Dyson Airwrap to be one of them now. It is like, I think I'll always have one and I'll always bring it with me traveling. But other beauty favorites I would say is the Sculpted by Amy Tint and Glow face makeup. Fucking love that shit. It's amazing. What else did I love this year in beauty? The Charlotte Tilbury Pink Gasm. I used to get Peach Gasm. It's not as good. Pink Gasm is the one. I've now realised that. Oh, I got really into La Roche-Posay skincare this year and CeraVe. That CeraVe cream to foam cleanser. Fucking love that face wash. And La Roche-Posay SPF, you would have seen me use it all this morning. That shit that I'm using on my skin at the moment, I absolutely love it. And is there anything else? Oh, Biab for my nails. These are my natural nails. I know everyone says it when they have Biab, and I cut them down. I just love the Biab. It is it's definitely like of years and years and years. Shellac ruined my nails, destroyed them. The on and off with acetone. Acrylics were fine. My nails were still in good nick, but I love the look of Biab. It's just way more natural, and I've like found the one now. So they would be like off the top of my head, my favorites. Thoughts on micro trends in media and TikTok insecurity mining? Oh, I love this question. Yeah, like it is weird. I was only thinking about this recently. I was looking on TikTok and people were like, how to rebrand for the new year, and I'm like, when are we going to stop thinking of ourselves as commodities? You are not a brand, you're not a commodity, you're a human being. You don't need to rebrand your person. We've been so brainwashed into thinking like that we are a brand, like, and they're like my this era, my that era. It's like, you're a human being existing in the world. Like, you don't have it more figured out than anyone else. You don't have to categorize different taste levels by eras. They're not eras, and I understand it can be a bit of fun, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not being a hater, but like, stop putting so much pressure on yourself. You don't need to have an anything era. You don't need to categorize everything as a hot girl this or a sad girl that or a fucking whatever the hell. If it helps you, it helps you, and that's good. Like, that's a net good. But like, you know, you don't need to fit into individual niches. I keep seeing people also on TikTok saying like, you know, find your niche. It's like, you're a human being. You don't, like, you are expressing yourself throughout the world, day to day, through your experiences, through your tastes, through your interests. You don't need to niche down. You don't need to commodify every single aspect of your personality. And you also don't need to put out every single aspect. Like, just putting something online doesn't make it real, like, or like commodifying it or projecting it and putting it in these little boxes of content and content farming your individual experiences doesn't mean that they're more real than if someone who doesn't do that. So if don't feel pressure to do those things. And there's definitely insecurity mining on TikTok. Oh my God, like you could go on for years. And the algorithm, I think, plays into a lot of that, because you might watch one thing out of interest. For example, like, I don't know, on my explore page on Instagram, it's not TikTok, but on my exploring page, I got one thing that was like someone getting a facelift. And like you watch it in a like voyeuristic way of like, oh my God, no way. Like look at her before and after. And then, 3 weeks later, still getting them, considering a facelift, you know what I mean? So you have to be aware of those things. And micro trends in the media, they all tie into each other, like I said, with these eras, and it's now our this era, and now we're on our this thing, and now we're not doing this anymore, and we're doing that. Like, remember, you don't have to listen to that. And I know it sounds silly, like me being like, who the fuck am I to tell you that you don't worry, girls, you don't have to listen to that. But like, just remove yourself from that discourse at times. Like, that's what I do. I can't bear it. It's too much information. And just because someone tells you that something is good, and just because they use trendy TikTok language, doesn't mean that you have to do it, and doesn't mean that they even fucking believe it. Because guess what? Half the people out there who are going on about their rebrand and they're this era and they're that era, they all look the fucking same day to day. They might just buy a new poxy jumper. Sorry. I'm gonna end it. This is the last question. Thoughts on the Andrew Callaghan's new film and his allegations and his apology. Guys, I'm sick of being let down by people I admire. Andrew Callaghan, if you don't know, he is genuinely a very talented journalist, and he runs Channel 5 on YouTube, and he made an amazing documentary all about kind of media literacy and about how mainstream media has pitted people up against each other, especially specifically in the US, and that has driven people into like kind of hidden corners on the internet. Very my jam. He mostly concentrated on like QAnon and like storming the Capitol. It was basically it's called This Place Rules, and it's a documentary on the events that led up to the January 6th, right? And it's amazing, and it was such a big thing, and he was on HBO, and Jonah Hill produced it, and it was so amazing for me personally as a fan, because like I just saw someone who started off on YouTube and was doing this like mainstream like what seems to be impossible thing of like going from YouTube to HBO, and then literally days after, all of these sexual assault allegations came out about him, and I was just like, oh. And the same week, I believe it was, Justin Roiland, who made Rick and Morty, like came out with this insane fucking domestic violence. And it's just like, my bros, like, can we stop? Like, it's so disappointing. I think his apology was good and worthwhile. And, once he apologizes to the girls individually, like, there was no like rape accusations, thankfully. But obviously I don't mean to diminish like the severity on the people who experienced it, but I'm just mean from a selfish perspective, like, I haven't lost all hope in him. I think he made a good point on it, that like he just hasn't had a very nuanced experience on consent, and as someone who definitely didn't have a very nuanced experience on consent, I can empathize with that. Now I've never acted on those things, I don't think, but I definitely used to have a very, very myopic and immature and uninformed view on consent, and I think that's also, he's a lot younger than me, but generationally, like maybe you can relate to this if you're in your 30s, like just the conversation wasn't as nuanced when I was younger, so I was kind of brought up with a lack of education around it. So then therefore in my later 20s I was kind of catching up with everything, and sometimes I think a lot of the time, and I think it's a human thing to do, when you see a conversation progress beyond your understanding of it, you can fight up against that, and I think that's a normal human interaction, but I think it's a bad thing, because like you should also listen to the new way of thinking, you know what I mean? Like you can disagree with aspects of it, but like you should also try and understand where it's coming from. Anyway, sorry, I'm on a tangent, but yeah, really disappointing and really shit, because like it's shit as a fan, because you're like, ugh, like for fuck's sake, I was rooting for you, Tyra Banks vibes. But yeah, it's shit. It's shit when someone you admire does shitty things and hurts people, especially when they have done loads of good things, and it dirties the water and it muddies the water and it puts a fucking bad taste in your mouth. But I hope that he can work through it legitimately, and I hope that he apologizes to the people that he hurt, and if they decide to accept his apology or not, that's obviously up to him. But I do believe in rehabilitation for stuff like this, and forgiveness, and you know, he's someone who preaches radical empathy, and I try and do that myself, and it's, again, like, it sounds like I'm forgiving him more than I'm like, I genuinely take the accusations seriously on him, and it's, I think as women we've all been in a situation similar to those things, so I totally empathize with the women, because it's just such a specific feeling, that kind of slight power imbalance, but not really the time or place to have that conversation here now. But yeah, like, I mean, he said he's going to quit drinking and all that kind of stuff, and maybe, you know, I think alcohol can really, I mean, like, that's not anything crazy to say, like, alcohol absolutely can impede your, what's the word, your judgment, I guess. But yeah, it's shit. Like, it's a weird one, because, like, I don't know if it's really inappropriate for me to be like, I hope he gets better and comes back. Like, I don't know if that's inappropriate, but I think we've all felt that way when, like, someone like you're a fan of fucks up, you're still rooting for them, kind of, and that's probably just parasocial as fuck. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's just a reminder that fucking hell, like, people can be shitty people, humans can be shit, nothing new there. Okay guys, I'm off. I'll be back with a new video at some point, but until then, chat later, bye.